My name is Elizabeth Matthew, and I'm an assistant professor of business communication at the Fox School of Business at Temple University. I'm going to talk about my dissertation project briefly. I'm measuring the writing improvement of undergraduate business students in 3 different versions of the same business communication course: online, hybrid, and the traditional in-residence classroom, to see which group of students improves their writing the most, or whether there are differences between the groups of students in terms of how much they improve their writing. So this study is going to actually measure that writing improvement by taking an average of how much students improve in an in-residence course, an online course, and a hybrid course of business communication. And it will use a mixed between within subjects analysis of variance with repeated measures to make that assessment. It will show whether the hybrid or online courses produce the same improvement as in-residence courses or different improvement. And obviously, given the number of courses at universities that are moving online and hybrid, this has a lot of implications for the design, curriculum, and delivery of all formats of courses. So as I just mentioned, the number of online and hybrid courses in colleges is increasing very quickly across all levels and disciplines. And many faculty actually are not sure about whether these online courses that they or their colleagues are teaching actually do produce the same learning outcomes that in-residence courses produce. And data is lacking about the actual effectiveness of online and hybrid courses in comparison to the in-residence ones. It's very easy to talk about people's perceptions of the different types of courses, but the learning that happens in the different types of courses is something that hasn't necessarily been measured as it could and should be. So this study asks, is there a difference between the writing improvement shown by undergraduate business students enrolled in in-residence business communication courses as compared to those enrolled in online or hybrid business communication courses? And the data from this study, as mentioned previously, would have some bearing on how both in-residence and technology-assisted courses, particularly in writing various kinds, are understood and implemented. Essentially, there are 3 scholarly conversations that are tied together in the literature review for this study. So since the course being studied is business communication, obviously one piece of the literature review will deal with the history of that discipline and the scholarly conversations that have gone into the teaching and learning of professional writing, from in English to in communication to in business schools, because this is a discipline with a long and varied and very interdisciplinary history. The next part of the literature review will address online and hybrid writing courses. Obviously, this is a newer scholarly area, and it is one that deals a lot with how the best practices of teaching writing online or in the hybrid formats actually work for instructors. So much of it has to do with courses that, while they may not necessarily be business communication, are writing intensive, and how students learn online and how instructors teach online in those courses. And then lastly, the final section of the literature review will talk about how students and faculty do feel about the efficacy of online courses in various disciplines compared to traditional courses in those disciplines. So when students have taken, say, an online statistics course or an online geography course, and how their perceptions of their own learning or their teachers' perceptions of their learning do compare, which is an important conversation if we're going to look at how the improvement in their scores compares. It's important and useful to know how they feel their learning compares in the two versions of the same course. In order to assess whether in-residence business communication students' writing improves more than, less than, or the same amount as that of hybrid and online business communication students, I will use a mixed between within subjects analysis of variance with repeated measures. The categorical independent between subjects variable will be the forum of the course, so whether it's in residence, hybrid, or online. The categorical independent within subjects variable is time, so a student's paper score at time 1 when he or she wrote paper 1 versus his or her paper score at time 2, time 3, time 4, and time 5. And then the continuous dependent variable, of course, is those paper scores measured at each time period. Just as a side note, in terms of the method, this study does control for differences between instructors, or will control for differences between instructors by comparing each instructor's in-residence students' improvement only to that instructor's hybrid or online students' improvement. When this study is run and concluded, it will result in one of three findings. So either, of course, the in-residence business communication courses are more effective at producing student learning than the online and or hybrid courses, or they're as effective, or they're less effective. And that's what the results of this study will show. If this study does find that online or hybrid courses produce learning inferior to that of in-residence courses, then there's credibility for those faculty who are skeptical of online education to discuss with their colleagues how we can improve some of those tactics and pedagogies that we use online. Additionally, students will be more informed about both in residence and online or hybrid courses and how their tuition dollars and their effort are being used well or not. On the other hand, if this study finds that there's really no difference in student learning, or that perhaps even online courses produce better student learning, at least in this field, then educators who work in online learning will have the credibility and have the data to engage their colleagues and their students about the possibilities and strengths of online learning and be able to back that up in a way that people find empirically useful. And additionally, students will be more informed consumers in that vein as well. So information is helpful in either case. Thank you so much for listening to and reading about my proposed dissertation. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments.